You know, because somebody will say, well, why do you think she got cancer? Why did that? You know, it's so hard to just say it was one thing. I think it's a whole, you know, slew of issues, whether it be somewhat genetic, toxic food, not drinking enough water, lack of exercise, stress, environment, sleep deprivation. And then, you know, our focus definitely in Canada and the United States is that we treat, we don't prevent. The good news though is that this is changing. I know in Canada it definitely is. There's a lot of holistic practitioners. A lot of people are turning to alternative medicine, which is great. And one day my dream is to see how we, to work with medical doctors and holistic practitioners like they do in Europe. That would be just so amazing. And there are some centers in Canada starting to open up where you're starting to see that holistic teamwork. It's a small percent. How about here in Arizona?
Yeah, it just depends. It depends. It's little tiny pockets.
Little pockets starting to make it.
Yeah, I've heard of like I have a friend who has cancer, or she had cancer. She's in remission, and she works with a naturopathic cancer doctor. But then she also has like a regular doctor, but mostly sees a naturopath. But then they kind of work together.
Awesome.
Yeah, like that.
Good stuff. Americans aren't very healthy. Pulled these stats. You know, to go over these real quick. 1 in 3 live with some form of cardiovascular disease. I know that cardiovascular disease is the #1 disease in North America. It's actually in the U.S. It's actually #2 in Canada. We actually beat you on something. You know what it is? We actually get more cancer than you. Go figure. One of the links and the conclusion of that is that we lack D3. We're not consuming and getting enough of the D3. So there's been a lot of research around D3, like lack of D3, and really encouraging the Canadians to get their D3 levels checked and making sure that you do upwards of 10,000 units a day. 1 in 3 women will develop cancer in the U.S., 1 in 2 men. Who here has been affected by cancer? It's not a fun place to be, is it? Yeah, I know, Sarah, you just last year was a really difficult time for you, right? It hit your family hard. Here's diabetes, obesity, 1 in 3. 116 million people here in America live with chronic pain. And yeah, and then there's your health care here. $3 billion a year it costs you. It's crazy. I say it's not health care, it's sick care. And I do encourage people, if you can, you know, prevention is a great investment if you can stay out of the hospital. I mean, we do need our doctors and we do need our hospitals, but if you can take control of your health and be your own doctor, I think that's the best advice I can give you. Dr. Katz, I don't know if anybody's heard of Dr. Katz. He's been on Oprah. He's a chief editing officer. Here's 2 of his quotes. Children are more harmed by poor diet than by exposure to alcohol, drugs, and tobacco combined. And due to poor diet, this generation of children have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. You guys heard of that before? Does that make you mad as a parent? That your kids aren't going to live as long as you? But I really believe that if we get out there and we educate and we, I'm going to say, wake people up if they want to be woken up, that we can definitely get the message out. I love this website, nutritiondetectives.com. Our company, Juice Plus, is partnered with them, helps put the DVD together, and you can actually order them for free. I believe they're still free, and you can gift your local school with that. It's kind of like grade 1 to grade 8, and it teaches the children how to read food labels. So we're empowering the children to learn about how to read food labels. I brought it into my girls' school every year since they were in public school, gifting them with a health teacher, and they really appreciate that. Here's the fact, our governments know what to do and how we can prevent disease. They know it, they know the answer, and you know what they've been trying to do? They've been trying to get us to eat more fruits and vegetables because, you know, fruits and vegetables is like mother's pharmacy. In Canada, we're supposed to be eating 5 to 10. In the US, 7 to 13. I love your plate. Who gets to eat a half a plate of fruits and veg at every sitting? Who does that? Awesome. Is it challenging sometimes? Yeah. Almost no one does. I know that, you know, the Canadian government gave up. They're just like, no one's listening to us. They spent about $1 million. I know it doesn't sound like a lot to you guys, but $1 million was their budget to educate Canadians. Finally, they just ended up coming out with a campaign to say, more matters. Just eat as many as you can. It was actually quite funny. as holistic nutritionists, we're like, yeah, exactly, more matters, just eat more. What the government, the researchers know is that the magic is in the food. So I love this slide because we've heard, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And why is that? Today scientists know that there's over 10,000 nutrients in an apple, and that we need every single one of those nutrients for it to work in our body. So isolated vitamins, how isolated works is they would take out a few maybe isolated ingredients and put it into an isolate, but what ends up happening is our body doesn't know what to do with it. It's like a football team and you take a player out, what's going to happen? Do you think they're going to be a little bit weaker? Or a band, an orchestra, and you take out one of their big players, it's not going to sound that great. It's the same thing. They actually, there's been a lot of research around this, especially with lycopene in men's prostate health. So with tomatoes, it's known that tomato has lycopene, it's a phytonutrient, and lycopene is to protect the prostate. So the scientists, what they did is they ended up isolating the lycopene, giving it into an isolated capsule, and nothing happened with their markers of health in their prostate for men. And then what they did is they gave them tomatoes, and they ate tomatoes for 14 days, and they compared, and what they found was the isolated did nothing to the prostate markers, and the whole tomato did. And so there's a lot of research. They're doing it individually, so they've done it with broccoli. I've seen a study on that, lycopene, and it's really cool, and there's going to continue to be more studies. But the conclusions that have been coming out the last 2 years is you have to eat the entire plant for the benefit of the body and the health. So pretty inspiring. So here's my 5 basic health steps that I use with my clients. It's really simple. My message is eat more plants, eat them as much as you can. Eat them in the morning. I want to see green on every single plate and meal. That's just, and I've been here for a couple days. Is that what I do every day? You see, we're doing shakes. I had a salad for lunch. I had a salad for dinner. I mean, I'm cramming as much plant nutrition because I want to have 3 BMs a day because that is a good digestive system, guys. That should be your goal, okay? 3. You want to reduce your sugar load. You want to get off of that high. You want to read your food labels. You want to start to grow your own food somehow, or go to the farmer's market and buy it from somebody that just grew their own food. And you want to consider adding a whole food supplement. So I'm going to talk about those. So eating whole food. Why is eating whole food? I like to say it's the rainbow, especially for the kids. So who do you know in your family that eats the same vegetables every single day? Right? And
younger the kids.
Right. And but there's thousands to choose from, but we get in these ruts, and I know I do sometimes, especially in the wintertime up in Canada, and you look at the produce and you get the raspberries and they're moldy, and the strawberries, like I don't eat a lot of fruit in the wintertime because it just is not great in Canada. So my diet in the wintertime is very limited when it comes to color, when it comes to fruit, for sure, there's no doubt about it. But the reason scientists have said that you need to eat a rainbow diet is they've discovered that certain plants have the nutrients to support certain organs. It's very fascinating. I don't know if you've seen this chart on social media, but for example, for the female ovaries, it's like papaya, pear, garlic. For men's health, the tomato, the watermelon, the kiwi, banana, lungs, broccoli. And what the researchers have discovered is that they have certain nutrients to add that support to the certain organ. So it's just so fascinating to me to know how important it is. And there's a lot of good books. There's one that came out of McGill University on cancer, and they were discovering in the labs the different vegetables that were more powerful to eat up the cancer cells. And it was a variety. The big ones for cancer is any vegetable that has indole-3 carb. You guys, so those are my girls say, they're the ones that make you stinky, Mom, right? So they're like the broccoli and the cauliflower and the Brussels sprouts, the stinky ones, but they have the indole-3 carb. And not only are they good for cancer prevention, but also good for hormone balancing, right? So hot flashes for women, you want to get your indole-3 carbs. So eating those vegetables every day is a good thing. Whether you're stinky or not, just eat them, okay? They're good for you. A lot of people, when I've worked with them, they're like, okay, I'm gonna try this for like 15 days, or I'm gonna try this for 30 days and give it a shot. And a lot of people, they want to give up because they maybe haven't felt how they want to feel. And I ask them the question, like, how long has it taken you to get to this spot in your life, right? 40 years of either, abuse or medicine or lack of exercise. It's not gonna happen overnight. So I like to show them this chart because what it does is it explains that, it takes 6 months for the DNA to repair. It takes 3 months for your bones to build a new skeleton. The liver renews every 6 weeks. The skin rebuilds every month. The lining in the stomach every 5 days. Blood every 4 months. And your brain every year. So you can imagine if you stayed on your plan for a year that you would have a totally different body. And that's the message that I try to get across, is it's so important to stick with a lifestyle plan, not a diet. Make sense? Step 2, reduce sugar load. I have this visual up here because people say, what, children, 35 teaspoons? Really, I don't think my kid eats that much, but what people don't know is sugar is hidden everywhere, especially in the drinks, right? All of the iced teas and the pops and, the candies and even ice cream, like Haagen-Dazs. Like, look at how many teaspoons in just an ice cream. It's crazy. And summer's probably the worst. I'm sure that 35 goes up in the summertime with all the treats and ice creams and holidays and stuff like that. So we want to reduce that sugar load because look what ends up happening if you don't. Look at all of the diseases that sugar is linked to. It's chronic, it's inflammation, it's depression, it just goes on and on and on. So if we can help people get off of that sugar high, we're going to help them with pretty much any of those degenerative diseases. Reading food labels. Here's my rules around food labels. Never trust the front of the package, okay? I was in many marketing meetings, and let me tell you, they try to play with the basics of the government rules. It's like, you can do this, you can't do that, and there's always this gray area that they try to squeeze in, and it's all about trying to get you, the consumer, to buy their product. That is their goal on the front of the package, okay? I always say, don't read the front of the package, turn it over and read the label, okay? And you're gonna look at the first ingredients, and that's usually going to be the biggest ingredients, and so if it's sugar, you probably don't want to get it. You want to identify harmful ingredients, so can you pronounce the words? And if you can, if it reads like the book, probably not a good idea. And I love the fact that fiber is your friend. So when I was choosing a salad before I got on the plane from Toronto to here, I was looking at the labels. And the one that I ended up choosing was split pea and mung because there was 11 grams of fiber and 18 grams of protein. And it was small, but that little amount held me over for a 5-hour plane ride. I didn't have anything else other than water, and I was full and satisfied because I balanced my blood sugar. Okay, so if we can help your family members balance their blood sugar by having good sources of fiber and protein and whole food carbohydrates, guess what ends up happening? You have a much happier family, I guarantee it. This is one of my favorite fun books for kids to educate them. It's called Unjunk Your Junk Food. The author, Andrea and Randy, they live up in Canada, but she tours a lot in the United States. I love this book because it's very kid-friendly. It helps them understand, especially if you're trying to get people off the junk, it's converting them over from an unhealthy bar to a healthy bar, and it explains why. And all of the bad ingredients is highlighted and then explained why it's a bad ingredient. So it's one of my favorites. My girls a couple of years ago bought 80 of these books and went out to the community and sold them all. One, they were motivated by money. Mom was saying no all the time. But the other reason why is they were inspired because they wanted to teach their friends about what I've been teaching them for a long time, but they wanted to now pass it along. So it was pretty cute. They did make money. They did do some donations to the local food bank too with it, so it was cool. Step 4, grow your own food or go to a local farmer's market. Has everybody in here seen a tower garden before? I know they're pretty popular in Arizona, yes? Cool. So we live out in the country. We did have a vegetable garden. 4 years ago, we found out about this unbelievable tower garden hydroponic system. So we started with one, then we had his and hers because it was a little bit of a competition. Competition with your husband with produce, and then all of a sudden we have 16. How did that happen? So our little mini Tower Garden farm, what we do is we sell our produce to the local farmers market, like to consumers, and it's a lot of fun. We have quite a little following, and we actually ship seedlings across Canada. We're the only farm in Canada that actually ships seedlings right across Canada. So helping people get organic seedlings right out of the gate. And they're gorgeous. He's very generous. He puts about 10 seeds in and it turns into this like gigantic bouquet. He's getting quite a reputation of being very generous with his seeds. So, and I believe tomorrow night we're going to, what's the? True Farms. We're going to be there. 300 towers. I am so excited. You know, like a kid in a candy store? Yes. That's going to be me tomorrow. I am so excited to see an official tower. I've seen a lot of pictures. You know, you go from 16 to 300. That's a big difference. So who's going tomorrow night? Yay, it's going to be fun, hey? So if you know anybody, you can come. And the step 5 is adding Juice Plus. So I want to know, before I get into Juice Plus, is who's not on Juice Plus in here? Just curious. Okay, so we got some new people. Awesome. Okay, it just allows me to go into the detail that I need so you guys understand what it is. So I chose Juice Plus 10 years ago, and I tell you a little bit about my story. It was actually my mom that introduced it to me. I was one of those nutritionists that didn't think she needed it, so I got the phone call. She shared it with me. I said thanks, but no thanks, right? Sometimes we do that with our moms. Yeah, great, awesome, good. And I did that and pushed her off for about 4 months. And then finally she came out to Toronto for a visit. She lives in Alberta. And she sat me down and put in a DVD of Dr. Sears. Does anybody know who Dr. Sears is? Pretty popular pediatrician in North America and read a lot of books. So I watched for about 20 minutes. He was going through the research and kind of sharing why he recommended as a doctor. And I was like, wow, like I knew who he was. I knew that he was a powerhouse in the field of kind of preventative medicine. And I thought, well, if this guy's written over 30 books, I think he's now over 40, but at the time 30, I thought, I haven't even written one. What is my problem? Okay, maybe I should try it. So I went in with the mindset, I'm trying it only for 4 months, because that's what we ship Juice Plus, 4 months. Go back to that slide, 365 days. It takes 4 months for your blood cells to turn over. And our research shows that you need to give it a good 4 months to really impact DNA cellular health. So I said, fine, 4 months, that's it. Okay, Mom, just 4 months. If it was in a 1 month supply, I'd say, Mom, just 1 month, but it was 4 months. But I was still skeptical. So I don't know if anybody in here is skeptical or have run into skeptical people, but that was me. I call out my best friend who is a health practitioner. She lost her mom to cancer, so she got into the field of holistic health and cancer prevention. And she studied live blood, or she was a live blood analyst. So she actually studied people's blood and could tell what was going on, good, bad, ugly. So she took our pre-work. So my daughter was 2, Sydney. She got a little prick in her finger and got, you know, under the scope, and then Ella, and then myself. And then 4 months later went back. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I secretly wanted her to tell me that this stuff wasn't working and that I was wasting my money and it would have been better spent on a girls' night out with wine and good food. But that wasn't what happened. She explained to me what had happened in 4 months, and she was so impressed. She said, you have to stay on it, and by the way, I want to get on it. But what was really cool with my own experience was that 2 weeks in, I don't know if there's any mummies out here that get tired, but having 2 girls, 16 months apart, I had no family around. My husband worked an 80-hour corporate job. I felt like a single mom. I was spent, and at 8 o'clock at night, I had crashed. That was it. I was done. But after 2 weeks of being on this, I remember my husband calling from the bedroom, and I was in the office, and he said, are you coming to bed? Is everything okay? And I said, yeah. And he started to notice this pattern. And what was really cool is I was starting to stay up till 11, even 12 o'clock at night. I was giving myself 3 to 4 more hours a day. Could you imagine getting that much extra time? So people say, well, what did you do? Well, I read a book, I started exercising, and actually I trained for my first half marathon because I was getting my health back. So Juice Plus really impacted me in regards to getting that nutritional intensity and taking my health to the next level. With my daughter, who had 75 food allergies, in the first 4 months, her food allergies came down in half. And I had tried for 2 years every protocol we learned in school, and nothing was working. Juice Plus was what her body needed. It was that extra nutrition to take her health to the next level. And my little 2-year-old used to get sick all the time, caught everything. And we heard the story tonight just about immune and the whole bit. It's like since she's been on it for 10 years, has not missed a day of school for a sick day. Like, it's crazy. Not to say that Juice Plus is the be and all. We do other preventative stuff, and she's never been on a dose of antibiotics. So Sydney is 12 years old now. And I'm really proud of that, because I really believe it's what you put in the body, that the body can be strong enough to fight the bad guys. She does get the sniffles, but she recovers so quickly. So that's a little bit about my story. So I just became this raving fan. I just thought, you know what, everybody needs to know about Juice Plus. So in my conversations at school, in my community, in my networking, in my mommy's groups, I just shared from my heart. I taught moms how to eat better, and it just became this unbelievable mission for me. So, you know, some people, when they see me, they're like, oh, there's that crazy plant girl again. You know, I've got like the Juice Plus license plate, and I wear Juice Plus all the time in my hat. And I remember for the first 5 years, my husband's like, do not buy me anything Juice Plus. I will not wear it. I'm not going to do it. Half his wardrobe now is Juice Plus and T30, and it's awesome. And he actually has a Tower Garden license plate, so we have the Juice Plus and the Tower Garden. So what a couple, right? We're in it proud. I wanted to touch base on isolated supplements because this does come up all the time. And this particular label that you see here is the #1 children's multivitamin in North America. I grew up on it. I'm not going to release any name on it, but you can kind of figure it out. Look at what our children are putting in their body every day. Hydrogenated oils, blue #2, artificial flavors. And then at the bottom is a warning for poisoning. And that's the #1. They sell millions of dollars to families that this is what our children need in their body to bridge the gap in the diet. Does that make sense to you? This never made sense to me after I became a nutritionist. I was on a mission to educate moms to say our kids are not deficient in blue #2, okay? And Dr. William Sears, the pediatrician, said that we have the 2 biggest deficiencies is fruits and veg and omega-3. So fruits and veg is easy. Sometimes omega-3 isn't unless you eat a lot of good quality fish, nuts, and seeds, and sometimes that's not easy to get into kids. So I do recommend a good supplement of an omega-3 for sure. But I saw Dr. Sears a couple years ago. He came up to Toronto. Love this guy. Who has seen Dr. Sears? Yeah, very powerful speaker. I just love his heart. Just so beautiful. He's in his 70s and still practices 2 days a week in California. I think he's now, is it his 4th child that is a medical doctor? I think his, yeah, #4. So they're keeping it in the family. He's got 8 children. He beats you. I know, right? His 8.
Wow.
I know, right? Yeah. But what I loved about his message, and I put this up there new from this morning, is he is working right now on a book on how to prevent brain disease. So that would be Alzheimer's or dementia. And he's working with some of the top researchers right now in the United States. And what he said is some of the research that's coming, and they're studying cultures from all over the world to find out why certain cultures are not getting Alzheimer's and stuff. And one of their biggest conclusions is it starts in the first 5 years of life. And it's, I know, right? We're like screwed. Oh gosh. Are you kidding me? I was on formula and I don't even want to know what was on the formula, right? Okay. And they didn't know what omega-3 was back in the 70s.
But good news, your brain rebuilds
right?
Once a year or
yeah.
something?
Yeah, exactly. So thank goodness it can rebuild. Anyways, what they have concluded, which is just brilliant research, and this book isn't out yet, but as soon as it comes out, I recommend you get it. But his whole thing, the research is, in the 5 years, what ends up happening is the cells build the myelin sheath for protection. And it's like, you know, like think of a string and it just wraps around for protection. And that happens in the first 5 years of life. And it all has everything to do with the healthy fat. So, Dr. Sears' recommendation is when your child is 6 months old, what is the first food that we need to feed our baby? Any guesses? Avocado, exactly. So do you do avocado every day? Amazing. Avocado. And then go into wild salmon, You can put beautiful oils, healthy oils on your child's skin because their skin is our largest organ, right? So that we can absorb that. I used to give beautiful massages to my babies and make sure that they were absorbing that beautiful fat. So his message is you want to have little fat heads. Fat heads, okay? Because you want to protect them. But it's not too late, as we pointed out, is that the brain can rebuild, but definitely there's an advantage of having little fat heads when they're in the first 5 years. But eat avocado every day, that's a great superfood. Flaxseed, chia seeds, good fish a couple times a week is his recommendation as well. So,
Nicole, just back to the omega supplement.
yeah.
I don't do that with the boys.
You do or you don't?
I don't. Not for any reason, just because I don't know, because about fish and mercury. Like,
Yeah.
do you have one that you use for the girls?
We get our measurements tested through our
Okay.
naturopathic doctor, and we always test fine. So we
For
actually,
mercury, because we test for mercury.
yeah, but we test for our omega levels,
okay,
and we
okay.
always show up fine
Okay.
because we have so much in our
In your
diet.
diet. Okay.
But for
gotcha.
the average person that isn't
Right.
conscious of it, they might have to. You could find a
So what
practitioner.
source would you, if you were to supplement with it, what source would you recommend?
Yeah, like you could, there's a lot of plant, like you can even buy flax oil, you can buy hemp oil. There are some like pre-distilled, different types of omegas. I don't know if they're the same here. Nutricy is a big one up in Canada that's really recommended by the health professionals. Nutricy, have you guys heard of Nutricy? I'd have to go to
That's
a
okay.
But
That's fine.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I get it,
talk
yeah.
about that for sure.
Perfect.
So Juice Plus, people say, what is Juice Plus? And it's just adding more plant power every day. It gives you that rainbow diet. How it's made, it's chemical free. It starts with chemical free plants, GMO free, and it's been vineyard, oh boy, I'm getting really tired. I'm 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, brain is starting to shut down. It's vine ripened and high quality fruits and vegetables. And that was really important to me as a holistic practitioner and a mom, is I wanted to make sure that what we're going to put in our diet every day was going to be pure. I love the fact that every batch is tested to make sure that there are no contaminants. I love the fact that we just don't juice. Has anybody juiced before? It's a lot of work, right? It costs a lot of money. Yeah, did the juicing, did the Vitamix, I still Vitamix. The juicer's under there collecting dust. It comes out when the apple crops come in and we make apple cider and then it goes back down. But anyways, the fact is our company actually crushes the entire plant. So I like to use the example of the papaya. Did you guys know that the most important part of the papaya is actually the seeds and the skin? Anybody eat skin and seeds? No. But our company knows better than that, especially Dr. Smokey Scintilla, who actually developed this, knew the importance of the entire plant. So our farmers actually crush the entire plant to remove the water. The sugar comes out with the water, and we're actually getting the seeds and the skin and the nutrition from that plant. How are we doing for time?
Oh, we're good.
We're okay.
I don't have any time.
Okay. Quality manufacturing and testing. I love the fact that we have NSF. It's an independent third-party company that's testing our product and making sure that we are no contaminants. I love the fact that we are certified for sport. We went into the 2012 Olympic Games with 3 countries and their athletes all on Juice Plus. So to me, that is unbelievable to have that level of caliber of athletes using Juice Plus. There's a lot of teams. There's a lot of athletes that use it safely because there are no banned substances in it. So pretty exciting. 31 peer-reviewed and published studies, and we keep on doing them. There's one right now going on. I'm so excited when it comes out because right now there's a lot of talk on gut health, right? All the fermentation, all that food out there to eat and to help